to be honest, now we know this is a massive game for both these sides this weekend. Tottenham travel to Leeds United tomorrow, 12:30, live and exclusive on talkSPORT. Sam Matterface will no doubt renew his acquaintance with Antonio Conte post-match there. But Martin, before we headed to the Europa League draw, it was my take on it all that you were cutting Conte a bit of slack. Trying to emphasise the fact that he was being honest here more than anything else with his post-match chat at Burnley.
I was about to ask Simon, did he think that Daniel Levy was a vindictive type person? Because I think it's dangerous to get into clashes with your managers. And it was the way that Mourinho was unseated leads me to think that way. Just a few days before the League Cup final, you get rid of your manager. Almost in a way, look, I don't want him to be successful while I'm in charge. I could never bear it to listen to Mourinho saying he was the only person to win a trophy here. So he gets rid of him. And now here we have a situation where we have a huge manager, Conte. I think he's a really powerful individual. And I don't think he should be picking a fight with that particular manager. Because if it comes about, who's biggest at the club, okay, there's only one winner. But I do feel the Tottenham fans will be big losers because Conte is an outstanding manager. And in given time, he'll be able to prove it. Whether that happens, I don't know. But I do feel, Jim, when you come into a football club, if you're a successful type person, you can be deemed to be a troublemaker because you want to create change. And that's all he's trying to do. So I think they need to back him. And it's a message not just to the players, it's to the boardroom as well. You're going to have to back me. We need better players. If you want a plateau at this level, that's fine. But I can take you to that promised road, promised land, but let me do it. And I do feel these outbursts, and I don't think they really are. I think it's just honesty.
You thought it was preposterous, didn't you, Simon? That Conte came out with that.
I thought it was childishly temperamental, and I'm pretty sure Daniel does too.
And the fact of the matter is, Simon, we realise now for the first time there was no media spin. There never was. This was Conte speaking as Conte speaks.
No, I mean I think there's an element of spin up underneath because the narrative that I complain about is that there's a preset perspective about Mourinho. He comes in and causes trouble. Deal with Daniel Levy, he's a skinflint, and that's the underlying current, and then everything builds up from that. I think Daniel will be philosophical about it. I think he knows precisely what he's got in his hand. By the very nature of employing a new manager, you're effecting change. That's the very nature of bringing a new manager in because you want something to change. Everybody knows that Antonio Conte has won things at all the clubs that he's been at, besides the initial clubs that he started with his managerial career. So everybody knows that they're going to have to back him. Daniel Levy knows he's going to have to back him, and I think he'll sit there. I don't think anyone will be impressed by that. I don't think any sensible football observer thinks that impressive. But they also will have a philosophical situation. We're going, well, I know what I've got in my hands. I know he's capable of that. I bet if you go back in, we said this yesterday, I bet if you go back into his career in Italy and the parts where we don't see it being reported because we're not following him day to day in Italy, you'll have seen several of these outbursts being put forward by Antonio Conte. I don't think it's to be admired. I think it's childish, it's temperamental, it's unprofessional. But I do think underneath it is a frustration about not winning, and you want that. But I think Daniel will look at it and go, well, I know what I've got in my hands. I'm not blind. I knew what I was employing. I think Jose Mourinho getting fired was about a bonus, about not being prepared to pay an enormous bonus to Jose Mourinho and also kicking in some other caveats on his contract that he didn't think Jose deserved. So with all that in mind, you park this into Conte. There is no indication, there has never been any indication, and not one single iota of the media pen writing can suggest that Tottenham aren't going to back Antonio Conte. The only time pen should be quivering over the page is in the summer of 2022 if they don't put money into the situation. And then what will happen is Chelsea will spend 250 million quid, Arsenal will spend 150 million quid, Liverpool will spend what they spend, Man United will spend 200 million quid, and if Tottenham spend one single penny less than that, Daniel will cop it again.
He will.
And that's the world he's in.
He will, but rather than being annoyed at what his manager said last night, he should be annoyed at the result. Losing to Burnley away.
But nobody
from
said
home.
he was annoyed. I said it was philosophical.
Well,
no one can admire what he said in a way that he used the media to carry a particular message in a childlike way.
Well, when you go into the media, you get asked questions, and
you control.
Are we saying we're not happy with the answers?
The one thing you can control is your own response to something, right? You can't control how other people react to you. You can control your response to it. Emotionally, he conducted a series of interviews. It wasn't just the first one pitch side. He went from one set of interview to the other. So when he'd regained his senses and lost all the emotional baggage of an instantaneous microphone underneath his nose, he still behaved in a fashion that I don't think you can admire. I get the gist of it. I think that's a precise conversation. He can have that conversation with Daniel Levy on the plane back.
He's won 5 league titles. This guy's a winner. He's not satisfied. He's not going to be happy, is he?
But we're not arguing about the concept of what he can achieve. We're arguing about his representation of it. He knows the media are difficult in this country. He knows that the media are difficult in most countries. And if he gives them a piece of wool, they're going to pull at it until it unrolls the ball. Why do that?
Yeah.
If you feel that way, talk to your owner. Go, I'm having a right one here. I can't bear this. That's the guy that can affect the change, not the bleeding media.
I don't think the hierarchy were angry, Simon. I think the hierarchy at Tottenham were surprised.
I think they're philosophical.
I think they were surprised. If you're a player at Tottenham...
Don't be.
Well, say you're a player at Tottenham,
Martin,
is he comes out with that the other night. How do you react?
Well, I think I admire his honesty. Is he going to work with us and help us? Is he going to stay? I sincerely hope he is. When I look at what he's achieved, 5 titles at other football clubs, I want a bit of that.
Absolutely.
And we're all going to have to move towards whatever he wants and set. We're going to have to. Our standards are not high enough.
So it would have the desired effect.
For sure. And I want to be on this journey because I'm hoping it's going to turn around.
But that's an assumption that everybody hasn't already got that memo. If that memo needed to have been posted, in January. What's the point of posting it in February when you can't do anything about it? If Daniel Levy is sitting there under the illusion that he's nicked Conte for £15 million a year and he's going to give him 2 and 6 to buy players with, then Daniel Levy's bumped his head. And the one thing Daniel doesn't do is not understand sometimes the parameters of what he's doing. He understands the value of a pound. We all know that, right? So he knows that Conte is going to require some investment. Conte is taking his frustration, which I'm pretty sure he took out on the players after the game, and bringing it out and showing it to the world. That's called showing the world your backside. It's not called showing the world how strong you are. Questioning your own ability, throwing it out there in a narcissistic, self-indulgent, woe is me way, is not leadership.
Well, it's amazing how we see things slightly differently because I didn't see that it was someone throwing their toys at the clock. I thought it was somebody that was
What was it then?
I thought it was someone who's being realistic about the situation he found himself in.
I tell you what it does say, though,
we've lost
Simon,
4 out of 5 games and I'm not used to that.
In all honesty, we now know for the first time, and you've said it yourself, we don't know if Conte's done this in Italy, how often he's done interviews like that in Italy. And then he speaks to Sam Matterface the other night, who did his job brilliantly, and stuck with it, and stuck with the theme of questioning. This is none of the media's making, this is Conte's making. Only Conte's making.
But you're missing the point, Jim.
And this is... No, you missed the point about the media side of it.
No, I didn't.
The media reported it accurately.
No, I didn't.
And it came to the surface the other night.
I think you deliberately misrepresented the way I phrase things. There is an underlying narrative. No, I think you do, because you're defending your own profession and you know that I have certain contempt towards certain aspects of it, and I expect you to do that. But by the same token, if the underlying narrative is nobody, not me, not you, and none of these journalists know that Tottenham aren't going to back him, it's inconceivable to bring Conte in, understanding what the animal is. You've brought him in, you've looked at him, you've courted him, you've pleaded with him.
Well, it would be more ridiculous not to back him.
Right. So,
it's predictable that they'd back him.
But the underlying connotation is, or the underlying observation is that that's not going to happen. And that narrative is being wound up into a situation that Conte is in a desperate situation, is going to leave. Now, Conte, the understanding that I have, and it's a reasonable understanding, is that was about the players. That was about demanding better from the players that he got, including his centre-forward that scored 7 goals in 23 games. That was about a message to the players.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't get what he wants in the summer, then we'll all sit here and say, well, Daniel, for God's sakes, mate, what did you bring him here for?
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.